Hey guys, Guy Level here, and today we're going to be talking about lighting. Alright, so my goal with this video is to teach you about lighting without being overcomplicated and talking about some crazy stuff that you need to know if you're gonna be a filmmaker. Most of my audience are live streamers, so we're gonna try to keep it like lighting for live streamers. Now, of course, important note is to get good audio before you get good lighting. Obviously, audio is more important than video in most cases. It's so impossible to watch something with bad audio, but the opposite is actually okay. So, of course, I'm using a DSLR as my webcam. You're probably going to be using a webcam, but do not think that, oh, you're not going to have the same results. Of course, the image will not be the same, but I'm just trying to give you a general idea on how to make your streams look good. Even if you're using a webcam, even if you're using a bad webcam, a cheap webcam, those lighting techniques will actually help you just make it look better, more interesting. Now, there are several points I want you guys to understand. Usually, your house lights will not cut it. Okay, like normal apartment or house lights are made for that purpose. They're made to light a room so that when you get in it, you can see whatever is happening in the room and you can look around. They're not made for the purpose of having a camera and lighting a subject for a show. On top of that, apartment and house lighting usually is overhead. You have like one small source of light overhead, and this is pretty much the worst type of lighting for a human face. It is literally used in movies to portray a bad guy, someone evil with ill intentions. Unless that's the effect you're going for, I don't think you really want that. And if you're thinking, oh, what do you mean it's the worst lighting possible? It is, because it creates shadows under your eyes and under your nose, and it makes your face look evil. Pretty much, it makes you look bad. Now, as a live streamer, something that you need to understand is that all lights are not the same. Light is usually colored. It's usually a spectrum between yellow, red-ish, and blue and cyan-ish. So we can call it the color temperature, the white balance. It has many names. Basically, it's the color of your light. The sun is usually blue-ish. Our eyes are very good at adapting. Our cameras are stupid. So the sun is very bluish for your camera, and your normal typical light bulb will be yellowish. I'm talking incandescent light bulbs. Probably have an example somewhere. Like this type of light bulb. So if you're live streaming during the day, everything that is affected by the light bulb will be yellowish, and everything that's affected by the sunlight, if it gets in your room, will be bluish. So the camera needs to adapt. If the camera needs to adapt to the sunlight, everything that's affected by this will be very, very yellow. And if it adapts to that, then everything that's affected by the sunlight will be blue. And this is like the best way to have a very, very amateur looking video. So if you're streaming during the day and the sun is going down, your live stream is just gonna look like a mess. It's just gonna look more and more yellow. So there are two solutions to this problem. First solution is to close your blind. Do not let sunlight in your streaming room at all. That way, with your lighting setup, everything's gonna look the same no matter what time you're streaming. Second solution, do not use incandescent light bulbs. Not only the color is not really good, but on top of that, they actually consume more energy than most other types of light bulbs. So right now, my setup is daylight balance. That means if the sun were to come in, it would be the exact same color. Let me show you what this would look like. Very yellow. So what I suggest using would be CFL light bulbs and try to get white or daylight balanced. Basically, when you have them, even if they're sunlight, they're the same color as the sunlight, so you won't have any problems. Either that, or you can also use LED light bulbs. I don't really have LED. I mean, I guess this is an LED light bulb, but right now my LED is way too blue. Cool thing with CFL light bulbs is that they don't get really hot either. Kind of like LEDs. Okay, so we solved that color balance problem that you were having. Now, let's talk about something else. Let's talk about harsh light and soft light. So depending on your style, you can actually achieve different looks as long as you understand soft light, harsh light, and positioning, of course. Now, if you were asking me to describe my lighting setup right now, it's some sort of 3-point lighting. So my main light, which is lighting my face right now, is coming from here, and it's a very big light source with a sheet in front of it to diffuse the light so it spreads more, so I can have very soft shadows. On top of that, it's kind of tilted towards my white wall to give it even more surface to bounce around before it hits my face. This is why you can see how the shadows will softly diffuse. So now I'm gonna show you an example of if I had a small light source with no diffusion at all and a little bit close to my face, I guess. So here you can see how, okay, of course the white balance is not set for this particular light bulb, but you can see how the shadows are very, very defined. This is what we call harsh lighting. Remember when I told you that your light bulb is gonna be behind you like that? The problem with this is that everything else is illuminated except for you. If it's in front of you, then you get those weird shadows that really don't look too good. So this is really used in beauty shots. Soft light you will see in glamour photography, and portraits are usually done with soft light as the main light because it's the more flattering way to light a human face. A bug just flew in there. So if we're still following the principle of 3-point lighting, because this light source that isn't directly hitting me from the front is casting a little bit of shadows, as you can see, like all this part is completely dark, we will need what they call a fill light, something to counter those shadows, because we don't want half of the face to be completely dark. Usually in 3-point lighting, the fill light will be less powerful than the key light to give the face a little bit of depth. Like the other side of the face is still supposed to be a little bit darker than the side that the main light is hitting. Usually, like for interviews and stuff like that, it's another big soft light source. But in my case, I wanted to go a little bit dramatic and use some harsh light. And this is why I use my LED, 50 watt LED RGB projector, which I can control with this little remote. There you go. So that still creates a contrast and you can still see some of the shadow, but I get this light coming in. This is my own setup. You can play around with yours, of course. Now I'm playing with the fact that the human brain kind of likes to see oversaturated colors. So this is why I use this particular LED projector, because it makes it more interesting. I could use it on just white, even though my white balance would probably make it look blue. So this is what it would kind of look like if I had pretty much the same color temperature from this light and this light. It would still look a little bit dramatic, but a bit boring if you're live streaming. The goal is to entertain people by any means possible, to keep their brains looking at your stream thinking, I don't know what's going on, but I like it. All right, the final point of the 3-point lighting would be the backlight. Now, it's not a light for your background, it's a light for your back. Pretty much. It's also called a rim light or a hair light because its purpose is to separate you from the background. For example, right now my hair is pretty much almost the same color as my dark curtains, and if you want to really separate your subject from the background, you will need a backlight that will kind of add some sort of rim light right there. Now it's usually placed at an angle behind you so it can hit your shoulders and your hair, and there you go. This is what my hair light. Mine is particularly high above me, so my hair, the top of my hair is really lit, but it's also lighting my shoulders and really separating me from this background. And of course in the background, that has nothing to do with 3-point lighting, I have curtain lights, wedding lights, fairy lights, Christmas lights, whatever you want to call them. So if you would want to do something completely beauty, if you really want to play on that beauty factor, I would suggest having a big light source. If your light source cannot be big, then just diffuse the heck out of it. If you're using CFL light bulbs, they don't get hot. If you're using LED light bulbs, they don't get hot. You can even put paper. Parchment paper is better because it will resist the eventual heat. Or you can just bounce it at a white wall that will bounce it back to your face so you can get that soft light. So if you really want to go for that beauty, I would suggest your second light source could also be a soft light. That will give you only soft light in the front, and then for the backlight or the hair light, the rim light, you don't really want that to be soft because you really need that harsh light to really separate you from the background. I just realized by talking about harsh light and soft light, I also talked to you about light positioning, so I guess that's done. Now let's talk about money. I know you guys are already thinking, oh my god, he has this crazy light setup, he probably spent thousands of dollars. I'm a professional photographer and filmmaker, so I have kind of professional gear, but I do not like to spend money on gear. So if you think you need professional lighting for your stream to look good, you're wrong. And let me show you. If you're watching this from the United States, where most of my viewers are, you probably heard about clamp lights. We don't really have those here in France. Clamp lights are kind of like this, but on top of that, you get this little aluminum ball that will project all the light in one direction, which is awesome. This little contraption thing probably cost about, I don't know, 7 euros, $7, and it comes with the cable. If you put an LED light bulb in here, or let's say you only have this type of light bulb, you don't want to spend any money, okay? That means you have one source of small and harsh light, right? Since I'm using harsh light for my colored light, we can just replace it, right? So it would look something like that. I put it off screen. So this is what it would look like if I have this light bulb replace my 50 watt LED RGB light. And if you're thinking, what about the front light? You're probably using one of those soft boxes that is already diffused, and on top of that, it's bouncing off the wall. Well, you can also bounce those off the wall. Now keep in mind that I'm just holding this with my hands. I'm not even positioning it right. This is me pointing it at the wall. Look at that. Very, very soft light, right? Of course, we still have that yellow. I can actually adjust my white balance to match this, except every other light is gonna look super blue. But let's try adjusting my white balance so it matches this color and it takes this light bulb as if it was white. There you go. Now my camera thinks that this is white. I'm gonna place it kind of up front like that. And here I have a light source that is bouncing off the wall and it's producing soft shadows. If I pointing it straight at my face, I'm gonna have harsh shadows. Of course, you lose some light intensity, but it doesn't really matter. So let me put my RGB light back on. So if I had this kind of up front like that, I would still have a soft source. Now, those types of light bulbs are not good because they get hot. Like, it's really, really hot right now. So to diffuse it, I would need something that would not catch on fire and that could stay a little bit away from it. On those things, you can put like those umbrella diffuser thing, but you don't need to know about this. This is like professional photographer stuff. Oh great, now everything is blue. And we're back. So technically, if you get one of those clamp lights, you put an LED light bulb in it, and then you put a piece of parchment paper or just regular paper if it really doesn't get hot, then you will actually have diffused light that you can even point at your face and you will still get those soft shadows. Another look that you can achieve is the double-sided harsh light. Those are mostly used in sports because it gives you that raw, that really harsh, that gritty and mysterious look. So you only need 2 harsh light bulbs. That means if you have 2 clamp lights, you can actually achieve this look. You just need to have them on each side behind you. But if we're really talking about being on a budget and trying to make things look as interesting as possible, this is what I would recommend. I would recommend one light source that you can bounce off a wall, or you can put some sheets in front of to get that really, really soft light source as your main light. So one clamp light that's probably less than $10 with some parchment paper that you can probably get for $2. And then what I recommend is getting those LED RGB projectors. You can find small ones that are about 10 watts and do the exact same effect that I'm having right now. So with only 2 light sources, let's say those LED lights cost about 15. So for about $30, you can have the exact same lighting that I have right now. Now let's say that you have an extra $15. You can throw in the wedding lights. So we're at about $45, $50. It's pretty much the same thing in euros. And of course, you're gonna think about the price of tripods. Of course, I have my main light on a tripod. I have my backlight on a tripod. My LED projector is sitting on my bed right now. You can just put your main light on a shelf or on your desk near your face, and then put your colored light on a table down behind you or something, or even on the ground if you have to. Something that I've seen other streamers do is actually have that colored light pointing at the back wall, making the whole background light up in colors. So depending on the setup you have, you don't necessarily need tripods at all. And of course, if you have even extra money, you can even buy another clamp light to use as your backlight. So one little tip I have is try not to show harsh light sources on camera, except for practical lights, of course. Those wedding lights can be distracting, but when you're watching the video feed, you know that I am the main subject. I'm separated from the background. I have all the lighting hitting my face. Plus, the human brain really likes to find other human faces. This would be the focus point of the human eye because it's the brightest thing on camera right now. You don't want that. It's very, very distracting, and it's kind of an eyesore for some people. So can you imagine if my lighting setup was like that? Of course, there are so many different types of lighting setups that you could use. I know you guys are probably thinking about ring lights. Those are very popular within the YouTube, Twitch community. Ring lights are great because of the way the light is distributed around your face. It makes it kind of appealing. It is still harsh light though, but most of the time they're overpriced. I think the basic Amazon ring light is like $150 for one single light on a tripod. Also, if you use them as your main light, this is all they're going to do. Basically, your background's gonna be dark and you're gonna be lit. You're gonna be well lit. But if you really want to use a ring light, I suggest watching my other video. Oh my god. But if you really want to use a ring light, I actually made one myself, and I have a video tutorial on it on this channel, and it cost me about $20 for real. On top of everything, it's remote controlled and it has every single color of the spectrum, which the $150 one doesn't have. Okay, now this has nothing to do with the tutorial, but the fact that I had to manually shut down all those lights every time I stopped streaming, or I had to turn them on when I'm going live, was kind of exhausting. And I recently got an Amazon Alexa, so I have it responding to my lights, or I can just turn them off with my smartphone. So I can go, Echo, turn off stream lights.
Okay.
And my main lights go down. I can also use my phone. I could teach you how to do that, but that's for a whole other tutorial. If you guys would like to see a tutorial on how to do that, I can make one. Just leave it in the comment section below. If you guys would like to see more light setup, if you want me to expand and show more, if you really want something in depth on, hey, this is a cheap lighting setup, I can do that. Just let me know. In the meantime, you can ask me some questions on my Twitter, that is at level_photo. You can follow my Twitch channel, that's twitch.tv/levelgale. No, it's twitch.tv/gallevel. If you're looking for overlays for your Twitch channel, Mixer channel, YouTube gaming channel, go to gumroad.com/gallevel. I have a bunch of them there. They're either very cheap or even free. And I will see you guys next time. Gallevel out.